Now that we've had a good look around Windows 7, let's see about getting online. Now, I mentioned in a previous section several ways that you can get on the internet. Now, if your computer is connected to your broadband router via a physical network cable, then you should be online as soon as you turn the computer on. If you're connected via Wi-Fi internet on either your desktop computer or more commonly on a laptop or netbook or tablet computer, you'll see here down in the bottom right of the Windows taskbar, in the bottom right corner of the screen here, the Wi-Fi network icon, and it's telling us here, because we've got a little yellow star, that connections are available. So if we click on that, then it'll show us network connections that are available, and we can click on one of these and connect to the relevant network. We can also open, here you'll see the link at the bottom, open the Network and Sharing Center, and here we can see that we're not currently connected to the internet, and it's giving us an option here to connect to a network, but it's also giving us various other options. Connect to wireless, broadband, dial-up, or other connection. You can click on that link to set one up manually, and there are other options here, but you'll probably find 99 times out of 100 that simply click and connect to a network and wireless networks will appear. So we'll click on the network. We'll leave the tick box connect automatically ticked because on this particular computer we want Windows 7 to automatically connect to this network whenever it starts up. If you don't want it to, then untick that box. Press connect, and it'll probably ask you for the network security password. If you don't have a password on your home network or your small business network, then other people can gain access to your network and may be able to get access to computers and files and documents that you have on your computers. So we'll type the password here. And then this will automatically connect us. We can see here in the network and connection, network and sharing center, that it's telling us it knows it's a home network because we've joined to this one previously, and it's telling us we now have internet access. Now in the next segment we're going to have a look at Internet Explorer and how we can set that up and how we can get working with it. Windows 7 comes bundled with Internet Explorer 8, Microsoft's web browser. Now, in a previous segment I've talked about the browser ballot screen, which you may see during a Windows update if you live in the European Union, which will give you a choice of other browsers. And it's worth having a look at that video if you live outside of the EU and you want to find out more about the different choices that are available to you. You launch Internet Explorer 8 either from the Start menu or from the Windows 7 taskbar. Here we'll launch it from the taskbar. Now the first time you run it, it'll ask you a series of questions. It's very quick and easy to set up. So it's got new features here that you may not have seen in previous web browsers. So we'll click Next and we'll set it up. If you press the Ask Me Later button, then the next time you start up Internet Explorer 8, it will ask you the same questions. So, do we want Internet Explorer 8 to turn on suggested websites for us based on the content that we're currently looking at and the website we're looking at? We'll say yes in this occasion. We'll also say that we want Internet Explorer 8 to use its Express settings for starting up. This will get us working much more quickly. We can also customize these settings if we want to review them manually. Click Finish when you're ready, and here we are with an Internet Explorer window open, and we can now browse the internet. So let's have a look at a web address. Now you'll see in the address bar here at the top the name Microsoft.com is in bold text and the rest of it is slightly greyed out. This is a security feature so that we know exactly what web address we're actually visiting. It's because some viruses and some phishing emails that purport to be from reputable banks and companies such as eBay and PayPal will try and spoof a web address, but this way we know exactly what we're going to. Web addresses will start with the HTTP. If you see HTTPS, then it means it's a secure website, and you'll probably, at the far right of the address bar here, see a padlock, and you'll be able to click on that padlock and get information about that website security certificate. We have the colon and 2 forward slashes. These are optional. When you're typing a web address, you don't need to type these. In fact, for most websites these days, you won't need to type www. You'll be able to leave that off, and if the website is properly set up, then you won't need those at all. So we've got the main address, microsoft.com / and then we have various other options. In the next segment of this, we're going to look at navigating around the internet and displaying websites, and we'll look at some of the interface elements in Internet Explorer 8. Now that we've looked at how we can set up Internet Explorer 8, let's have a look at how we use web pages and how we access the internet on it. Now you'll see here in the address bar, we can click in that and we can type any address we want. Let's say we want to go to Microsoft.com. Now you can type .com, .co.uk, but a shortcut, if you're going to a .com address, is to hold down the Control key on your keyboard and press the Enter key, and the browser will add the .com for you. You can see here in the top left we have back and forward buttons. We also have a down arrow here that will give us a list of pages we've been to recently. So we can press back and forward, and we can move back and forward between these different pages. To the right hand side of the address bar we also have a down arrow, and if we click on that it'll show us where we've been, and it'll give us suggested websites as well. There is a refresh button which you can click to reload the page. There is a stop button which you may want to use if the page is being a problem, and there is a search box here, and you can conduct internet searches by typing in this box and either pressing the search button on the right hand side or pressing the Enter key on your keyboard. We have our internet favourites just below. If we click on that, it'll bring up a list of internet favourites, and we can add a website to our favourites by clicking the Add Favourites button, and we can select a subfolder here for it to this favourite to go in should we want to, so we'll add that. And we also have the favourite links bar here, so we can add the current website to this by clicking on the yellow star icon with the green arrow on it, and now this website is always available on a quick press of that button there. I'll show you here. If we go to Microsoft.com, I just press that Bing button and then we're back. Some other interface elements here. We have the home icon here. This will take us to our home web page, and also there's a down arrow next to it, so we can add or change the home page. We want to make Bing.com our only home page, so we'll change it and select it there, and now whenever we start Internet Explorer it'll start with Bing.com instead of its default home page. There are other options here for printing, and then there are several menus that we'll come on to in a forthcoming segment. So that's all for now. In the next segment we're going to have a look at tabbed browsing and how we work with tabs and pages in Internet Explorer 8. Now that we've looked at displaying websites in Internet Explorer 8, let's have a look at tabbed browsing and how we work with tabs and pages. Now all modern web browsers include tabbed browsing, and Internet Explorer 8 is no exception. You'll see here there's a tab here which says that we're currently on Bing.com. Next to it there's a button which, if you hover over it, gives you an option to open a new tab. In this tab, let's say we want to go to Microsoft.com. And we can keep opening tabs, and we can open as many as we want, and you can switch between these tabs simply by clicking on them. Now let's say we want to close a tab. If we click on the tab, then we'll see an X in the far right of it, and we can click on that and we can close the tab using that X. You can also rearrange the tabs simply by dragging and dropping them. And we'll see here on the far left that if we have several tabs open, we have a list of tabs that are available, and we also have a little icon here called Quick Tabs. If we press that, it'll bring up little graphic thumbnails of the websites that we're at, and we can just choose the one we want and click it to go straight to that tab. Now we've closed this tab, and we'll close, oh well, we didn't mean to close that Microsoft tab, we need to go back to that. So there's an easy way to reopen old tabs. If we right click on any tab, we can see a list of recently closed tabs. Here it's listing Microsoft Corporation, and if we click on that or click on open all closed tabs, the website will reappear. It's a very, very good way of getting back to websites if you close them inadvertently. Now, in the next segment, we're going to look at some of the really useful features in Internet Explorer 8. Now that we've had a look at how we work with websites in Internet Explorer 8, let's have a look at some of the useful features within the browser. And we'll start at the bottom and we'll work our way up. You'll see here on the status bar at the bottom of the browser, in the far right, there's a little 100% icon. This allows us to scale the web browser to make things easier to read on the screen. We can make things smaller, or we can make them bigger. And you have zoom in and out controls. You can set custom percentage should you so wish, but you can make things much easier to read on the screen, and this can be extremely useful for people who have difficulty reading sometimes very small text in web pages. Up in the top we have several menus. The safety menu is worthy of note. First of all, we have a mode called In Private Browsing. Now, when you go on the Internet Explorer keeps a record of the websites you've been to. It downloads some temporary files from those websites. If you select In Private Browsing, then Internet Explorer won't keep any record of the websites you've been to. It won't download any temporary files or other files from those websites, and it's a nice and very safe and secure way of browsing the Internet. You can also delete your browsing history here. Let's have a look at this. It gives us options to delete temporary internet files, delete the history, delete passwords, and so on. Now, temporary internet files can build up over a period of time, and they can cause the web browser to slow down. So it's a good idea periodically to select the files you want to delete and press the delete button. Also, in the safety menu, we have a link straight through to Windows Update as well, to help keep your computer up to date. In the Tools menu, we can reopen our last browsing session if we close the browser and we want to be able to work with the websites we were working with before. There are controls to turn the website pop-up blocker off and on, and we can manage the add-ons, any add-ons that we have in the browser. You can see here it'll tell us of add-ons that we have, and we can click on a particular add-on and we can disable it if we want to, or if it's slowing the browser down or causing us problems, simply by clicking the disable button. Click close when you're ready. Then we have help on the far right. In the next segment, we're going to look at your privacy and your security in Internet Explorer. Okay, so now we've looked at how we can use Internet Explorer 8 to navigate around the Internet and some of the useful features in the browser. Let's have a look at your privacy and security, because these are extremely important. Now, you can see here we're currently looking at PayPal, and the address bar has turned green. Now, I've mentioned before that the main part of the address is darker in many modern browsers to let you know exactly what website you're visiting, just in case a malicious website is trying to spoof an address. But here the address bar is turned green to let us know that this website has been checked and is perfectly legitimate. We can see here there's a padlock, and we can click on the padlock to bring up more information about the browser. There are other features to the address bar as well. If the address bar, for instance, turns red, then you will know that the website is unsafe, and Internet Explorer will probably warn you with a message on the screen as well. But there are other privacy and security features available. If we open the Tools drop-down menu here, we can go to Internet Options. Now, in the Internet Options panel, there are several options for security and privacy. You'll see the tabs here along the top. We can change the security settings here between low, medium and high to give us minimum or maximum security for any websites that we visit. And there's a custom level button where you can select specific settings for your internet security. You can also change the mode that Internet Explorer operates in when it's online. May only allow trusted sites, might only give you access to your local intranet, or might give you wider internet access. There's a privacy tab here as well, and it's worth having a look at the privacy options to pick one that suits you if you want more security than is standard with Internet Explorer 8. There are other options here as well. You have the pop-up blocker, you can turn that on or off, and you can control its settings. And there's more information here about the in-private browsing mode. Finally, here we have a content tab. We can control parental controls, we can control the internet content that can be viewed, and various other options such as autocomplete settings, which help to remember things like passwords and usernames. So you can select any of the settings you want in here and then press OK when you're happy. In the last segment of this section, we're going to look at Microsoft's Internet Explorer 9 web browser, which, while not bundled with Windows 7, is an optional extra for it. In this section, we've looked at Microsoft's Internet Explorer 8 web browser, which comes bundled with Windows 7. But let's have a look at the new version, Internet Explorer 9, which you may already be using. Now, visually, it's reasonably similar to Internet Explorer 8, but it's a bit cleaner and slimmed down. We have the back and forward buttons. We have a joint address and search bar, so you type your web addresses in here, and you can also type internet searches in there as well. Tabs work in exactly the same way as they did before. And you have your home button, you have your internet favourites, and you have your menus here. Here is where you can get access to previous features that were on the toolbar, such as print and zoom, and you've got your safety options there as well. There's also a downloads manager for if you're downloading files from the internet. Now, there are a couple of really useful new features in Internet Explorer 9, so let's have a look at them. We've got two tabs open here. Now, let's say we want to compare two websites side by side. Now, you'll remember previously, in a previous section, I talked about Aero Snap, where you can snap windows to either side of the screen. Well, Internet Explorer 9 allows you to take a tab off a browser and tear it into a whole new window. This means that you can then snap those two web browsers to different sides of the screen, and you can view them separately. You can also take that tab and you can snap it back into the original browser. It's a very useful new feature. You can also pin websites directly now to the Windows 7 taskbar. If we drag its icon down to the taskbar, we can see we've got an option to pin it to the taskbar here, and now we have that website pinned directly to the taskbar, and in its jump list you will see options associated with that website, and it's an extremely useful feature. You can unpin it to the website from the taskbar simply by selecting unpin this program from the taskbar from its jump list menu. Other than that, Internet Explorer 9 is very similar. It supports the latest standards and it is more secure. But there are other web browsers available, which you can see in the video about the browser ballot screen as well. In the next section, we're going to look more about how we work on the internet with web pages and with websites.